Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Brothers and sisters, I had to go live for a minute tonight. I had to go live for a minute tonight because about an hour ago I received a notification. About an hour ago I received a notification that New York City Mayor Eric Adams, New York City Mayor Eric Adams has just been indicted by the federal government. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has just been indicted by the federal government, becoming the first sitting mayor in the long history of New York City to receive a federal indictment while he was still serving office. Eric Adams is the first mayor in the history of New York City to be indicted by the feds while still sitting in office. Mayor Eric Adams is a former police officer. Mayor Eric Adams is a former police officer. Once a police officer, always a police officer. Once a police officer, always a police officer, and they still let him go down. The police took down the police. The police took down the police. Now, according to the reports, the indictment is sealed. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, the largest city in America, most populous city in America, most important city in America, New York City Mayor Eric Adams' indictment is sealed. They're supposed to give us more information tomorrow. So the biggest entertainment black man in New York is behind bars. And the biggest political black man in New York is behind bars. I hope you're paying attention to this. The biggest entertainment black man in New York City is behind bars. And the biggest political black man in New York City may soon be behind bars. Brothers and sisters, I told y'all that this triple eclipse season that we in right now, it's the ancestors returning in the whirlwind, begging us to wake up and get organized. Because the Caucasian power structure is bringing the war to your front door. Whether you like it or not, the slave hunters are in the black community, and they are on a search and destroy mission, whether we like it or not. We have a triple eclipse. Harriet Tubman came to us on September the 17th through an eclipse. Nat Turner is coming to us October 2nd in an eclipse. Dangerfield Newby, who died for John Brown in the Harper's Ferry slave raid, he's coming to us in the almost eclipse of October the 17th. What are we going to do? November 19th, Pluto goes into Aquarius for the first time since the Haitian Revolution. I'm going to say it again. On November the 19th, the 13th anniversary of when I received my name, Ifatunde Oguntade, the planet Pluto will go into the sign of Aquarius for the first time in 225 years. The last time that happened, the Haitian Revolution. The last time that happened, the French Revolution. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius, the American Revolution. The message is in the stars. We're walking into an age of rebellion, revolution. There will be conflict. There will be high drama. It's not a coincidence that they executed our brother, Marcellus Williams, yesterday. He was innocent. They took his life anyway. We living in a revolutionary time, black people. Whether you like it or not, we're back in the 1940s. Whether you like it or not, we're back in the 1940s. They just hanged our brother Javion McGee in Henderson, North Carolina. They just hanged our brother Javion McGee. So let's look at this now. Since the eclipse, we have a black man hanged. We have a black man executed. We have a black man hanged in Henderson, North Carolina. We have a black man executed in Missouri. We have a major music mogul behind bars, and for the first time in the history of New York City, black mayor Eric Adams the first mayor to be indicted by the feds while he was still in office. When are we going to wake up and smell the coffee? I thought that the occasion was ripe for me to review the Willie Lynch letter of 1712. Why does Dr. Umar want to review the Willie Lynch letter of 1712 with you all tonight? Get your tickets for the Nat Turner Earth Day Solar Return. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. Get your tickets for the Nat Turner Solar Return Eclipse. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. Peace and Pan-Africanism to all my Cameroonian Africans. Where my Cameroonian Africans at? I was in Cameroon 1 year ago. I was in Cameroon this time 1 year ago when I bought my Cameroonian jersey. So I'm representing the Cameroonian people tonight with whom I share ancestry. For my HBCU Edward Waters University students in Jacksonville community, for my HBCU Edward Waters University students in Jacksonville, Florida community, the university postponed my visit due to the hurricane warning. The university postponed my visit due to the hurricane warning. There will be a new date coming soon. Dr. Umar, God willing, will be at HBCU Edward Waters University, but it will not be tomorrow because Orisha Oya is bringing the hurricane. Orisha Oya is bringing the hurricane. We pray for safety for all of our our North Florida Africans who might be struck by the divine power of that hurricane. Make sure you get out of town, lock down the house, guard the windows, do whatever you got to do, because the forces of nature are going to do their divinely appointed job, whether we like it or not. Protect yourself, my Florida Africans. Protect yourself, my Florida Africans. Protect yourself, Florida Africans. Now, the reason I want to review some sections of the Willie Lynch letter, brothers and sisters, the reason I want to review some sections of the Willie Lynch letter, brothers and sisters, is because what they're doing to Eric Adams is exactly what they were taught by Willie Lynch. What they're doing to Sean Puffy Combs is exactly what they were taught to do by Willie Lynch. What they did to Jonathan Majors is exactly what they were taught to do by Willie Lynch. What they did yesterday in Missouri to our brother Marcellus Williams is exactly what they were taught to do by Willie Lynch. What they did to Javion McGee on September the 11th, 9/11. On September the 11th, 9/11. What they did to Javion McGee is what they were taught to do by Willie Lynch. Now, we know the Willie Lynch letter may not be historically accurate, but it is scientifically true. The Willie Lynch letter may not be historically accurate, but it is scientifically true. Just like those of you who believe in the Bible, in the Quran, and the Torah, those books are not historically accurate, but a lot of what's in those books are scientifically true. Brothers and sisters, I want you to understand something really clear as I get into this Willie Lynch letter. I want you to understand something really, really clear as I get into this Willie Lynch letter. Kobe Bryant was unalived to send a message to all NBA plantation slaves that you do what we tell you to do and don't you ever go against the power structure. I said Kobe Bryant was unalived to send a message to all NBA plantation Negroes that you do what we tell you to do. You better behave like Michael Jordan. Don't you be trying to start your own professional basketball league against our wishes. Kobe Bryant was hung out as an example to the NBA plantation slaves. Don't you ever go against your master. Michael Jackson was hanged out as an example to the pop and R&B plantation slaves. When we tell you we want our Beatles catalog back, you give us our Beatles catalog back. Michael Jackson was made an example to the pop culture plantation. Kobe Bryant was made an example to the NBA plantation. Colin Kaepernick Colin Kaepernick had his career destroyed so he could be used as an example to the NFL plantation slaves. You better put your hand over your heart. And you better never take a knee. You better put your hand over your heart and you better never take a knee. Colin Kaepernick was the Willie Lynch example for the NFL slaves. Kobe Bryant was the Willie Lynch example for the NBA slaves. Michael Jackson was the Willie Lynch example for the pop culture plantation slaves. Jonathan Majors was the Willie Lynch example for the Marvel Studio plantation slaves. Sean Puffy Combs is the Willie Lynch example for the hip-hop industry plantation slaves. Bill Cosby was the Willie Lynch example for the mainstream television plantation slaves. And now Eric Adams. Eric Adams is being indicted as a Willie Lynch example. Eric Adams is being indicted as a Willie Lynch example to remind all black politicians in America that you are under a two-party dictatorship. You will never challenge us. You are a slave, Negro. Eric Adams, who do you think you are to try to push back now against the migrant crisis? Eric Adams, who do you think you are to think you're going to push back against the migrant crisis when we're trying to get Kamala Harris elected? Are you out of your mind, Negro? Do you forget who we are, Eric Adams? You don't go trying to kick up no dust. When we trying to get Kamala into the White House, you done lost your place, Negro. You done lost your place. We gonna teach you a lesson, Eric Adams. And in teaching you a lesson, we gonna teach a lesson to all the black mayors in America. We're gonna teach a lesson to all the black congresspersons in America. You don't ever go against the American white power structure. You better hope we don't put your ass in a jail cell next to your boy Puff, who you gave the New York City key to the city last year. Eric Adams gave Sean Puffy Combs the key to New York City last year. Mayor Eric Adams gave Sean Puffy Combs the key to New York City last year. Oh no, you got to pay for that. You gave Puffy the key? And you got the audacity to push back against the migrant crisis? You gave Sean Puffy Combs the key to this city, and you got the nerve to push back against the migrant crisis? You lucky we don't put you in the same jail cell with Sean Combs. Sean Combs federally indicted, Eric Adams federally indicted. Sean Combs federally indicted, Eric Adams federally indicted. Brothers and sisters, they going after any black man of influence, of power, of means. If you get out of line, they chopping your proverbial head off. Sean Combs is going down for suing that liquor company. Sean Combs tried to bite the hand that feed him. He went against the British Anglo-Saxon power structure. Sean Combs took the British Anglo-Saxon power structure to court and forced them to settle out of court. 2 months later, his homes are raided. Eric Adams gave Sean Puffy Combs the key to the city and is trying to push back against the migrant crisis. Now he's getting federally indicted. Oh, they not playing. Bill Cosby beat the old charges. Now the judge just gave permission for new charges against Bill Cosby to proceed. R. Kelly, you don't want to give a certain music company your masters? R. Kelly, you don't want to give up some of your publishing? You know what kind of dirt we got on you, Robert Kelly? You think you're going to stand up against us, boy? Wait until the media get these tapes on you. Sean Puffy Combs, wait until the media get these tapes on you. They don't just want to prosecute these black men. They want to humiliate these black men. They don't just want to prosecute these black men. They want to humiliate these black men. Michael Jackson, you don't want to give the Beatles catalog back? Off with your head. Off with your head. Prince, you don't want to give us your unpublished music? Off with your head. Tupac Shakur, you want to organize the gangs? And you want to start a movement with Mike Tyson? And you want to take on the power structure? Oh no, Tupac Shakur, off with your head. They not playing, brothers and sisters. They coming for everybody. It is open season. It is open season on black men and women in this country right now. Brothers and sisters, we got to organize. If this Puffy Combs thing didn't show you, if this Eric Adams thing didn't show you, if this Jonathan Majors thing didn't show you, if this Marcellus Williams, who was executed, an innocent black man executed yesterday, if that didn't show you, Javion McGee, innocent black man lynched. If you want to throw Puffy to the wolves, you can't throw Marcellus Williams to the wolves. He was innocent. You want to throw Puffy to the wolves? You can't throw Javion McGee to the wolves. That 21-year-old young man was innocent. You want to throw Puffy to the wolves? You can't throw Eric Adams to the wolves. You can't throw Jonathan Majors to the wolves. They weren't guilty of the crimes of Sean Combs, and look at them. They still suffering nonetheless, brothers and sisters. They still suffering nonetheless. Are we going to fight or are we going to quit? That's the only question the ancestors want to know. I'm also motivated to dig into the Christian Bible. Where my revolutionary Christian Africans at? Where my revolutionary black Christ-serving Christian Africans at one time? Where are my revolutionary black Christ-serving Christian Africans one time? Psalms 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked advance against me to devour me, it is my enemies and foes who will stumble and fall. Though an army may besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. Brothers and sisters, we got to stay confident. We got to know that the Almighty will be on our side when we decide to stand up and stand out. We got to show up and we got to show out, brothers and sisters. We have to draw a line in the sand. We have to draw a line in the sand. If the gangster rappers want to be loyal to hip hop and gangster rap more than the black community, we got to ostracize them. We got to cut them off. We got to cut them off. I love our hip hop community, but if they think hip hop is more important than black life, we got to get them ninjas up out of here, brothers and sisters. Ain't nothing more important than the survival of African people. Not gangster rap, not hip hop, not soul music. Nothing comes before the survival of the people, brothers and sisters. Nothing comes before the survival of the people. So if the hip hop community don't want to get in line, we got to ostracize them. There is no riding the fence. Mixed race Africans, are you listening to me? There is no riding the fence. Mixed race Africans, are you listening to me? Choose a side. You cannot play both. Choose a side. You cannot play both. Everybody has to choose where they standing now. They going after everybody. I told y'all before, race burns class 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. This is not a class struggle. This is a race struggle. Sean Puffy Combs was a billionaire. Look what they did to him. Michael Jackson was a billionaire. Look what they did to him. Bill Cosby was a billionaire. Look what they did to him. Kobe Bryant, R. Kelly was damn near billionaires. Look what they did to him. This ain't about class. This is about race. It is time for us to unite, brothers and sisters. All petty differences to the side. Black women, y'all gonna have to get together and stop all this petty nonsense. Black women, y'all gonna have to stop acting childish. Don't be offended. Do not be offended by my words, beautiful black queens. I'm sick and tired of y'all catting behind each other back, slandering each other, gossiping with each other, competing over black men. That shit got to stop. Black women, it has to end. Y'all need each other. The brothers can't win without the sisters. The brothers can't win without the sisters. And the sisters can't win without the brothers. Let's get into this. Willie Lynch, Christmas Day, 1712. Willie Lynch, Christmas Day, 1712. Allegedly, he delivered this address on the bank of the James River in Richmond, Virginia. Where are my Gabriel Prosser, Richmond, Virginia Africans at? Where are my Gabriel Prosser, Richmond, Virginia Africans at? Where are my revolutionary leader, Gabriel Prosser, Richmond, Virginia Africans at? The James River is not too far from the old African burial ground. Next time you visit the old African burial ground in Richmond, make sure you stop by the James River. At one time in American history, Richmond, Virginia, and the James River was the largest enslaved African import site in America. At one time, Richmond, Virginia, and the James River was a larger import site for our ancestors than Charleston, South Carolina. Richmond, Virginia once ran the domestic slave trade. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, brothers and sisters. So let's get into this. In this letter, Willie Lynch says, on my way here, I caught whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree. You are not only losing valuable stock by hanging your slaves, you are having slave uprisings. You are having slaves run away. Your crops are not being harvested on time. You are suffering fires being set by slaves, and your animals are being killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I don't need to tell you. I'm not here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce you to a method of solving them. I have a foolproof method of controlling your black slaves. A foolproof method of controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, my method will control your slaves for the next 300 years. For the next 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I simply make the differences bigger. Did y'all hear what I just said, brothers and sisters? Willie Lynch said, I have outlined a number of differences amongst the African slaves, and all I do is make the differences bigger. That's it. Divide and conquer, separate and rule. All they do is make the differences bigger. He said, one of the differences we must exploit is age. We must exploit the age of the African slave. Put the old slave against the young slave. Put the young slave against the old slave. Put the young black women against the old black women. Put the old black women against the young black women. Do we not have that problem right now? Do we not have that problem right now? Do we not have the problem of the old black man hating on the young black man and the young black man hating on the old black man? Then he said, shade of color. Shade of color. Put the blue, black, purple Africans against the mixed race Africans. Put the butter almond Africans against the caramel Africans. Put the sweet brown sugar Africans against the butterscotch Africans. Take the maple pecan Africans and put them against the lemonade Africans. Then he said, intelligence. Put the educated Africans against the uneducated Africans. Put the GED Africans against the PhD Africans. Then he said, use size. Not just physical size, but political size, public size, economic size. And then he said, put the women against the men. Put the slave black women against the slave black men, and put the slave black men against the slave black women. This is what Willie Lynch said 300 years ago. And we still fighting each other. Black men fighting black women fighting black men all over YouTube, tearing each other down in the name of Willie Lynch. And then he said, put the ones with status against the ones with no status. Put the ones with status against the ones with no status. He said, put the slaves who live in the North against the slaves who live in the South. Put the slaves who live in the South against the slaves who live in the East. Put the slaves who live in the East against the slaves who live in the West. And when Dr. Umar visits certain cities, a lot of our young brothers in the community, if they live on the north side, they can't go to the south side. If they live on the east side, they can't go to the west side. If they live on the west side, they can't go to the north side. Willie Lynch. Divide and conquer, separate and rule. Then he said, put the nappy hair against the straight hair. Put the curly hair against the coarse hair. He said, divide them Negroes by skin color, divide them Negroes by complexion, divide them Negroes by the type of hair that they have. And then he said, I'm going to give you an outline of action. I assure you that distrust is stronger than trust. Envy is stronger than respect. Did y'all hear that? Willie Lynch said distrust is stronger than trust. Black people distrust each other way more than they trust each other. This is Willie Lynch. He said distrust amongst the Negroes is much stronger than trust. Distrust is much stronger than trust. He said envy is stronger than respect. Envy is stronger than respect. He said, your black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years. He said, once you properly divide and conquer your blacks for 1 year, Willie Lynch said, if you effectively play divide and conquer amongst your slaves, Willie Lynch said, if you effectively play divide and conquer, separate and rule amongst your Africans for 1 year, they will perpetuate the self-destruction for the next 300 years. They will perpetuate the self-destruction for the next 300 years. He said, don't forget to put the old black male against the young black male. Use the dark-skinned slaves against the light-skinned. You must make sure that your Caucasian servants and overseers distrust all blacks. This is important, brothers and sisters. This is important. He said, make sure all of your white employees, every white person, not the rich ones, not the poor ones, not the French ones, not the Italians, all white people must distrust all of the slaves. I told y'all they all racist. I told y'all they all racist. And y'all running around, I got me a Caucasian friend. I got me a Caucasian wife. I got me a Caucasian husband. I got me a Caucasian fiance. Willie Lynch said all whites must distrust all blacks, and y'all get mad at me for letting y'all know that all of them are racist. Willie Lynch told them all whites must distrust all blacks. They come amongst you to use you. They come amongst you to use you. They only come amongst you to exploit you. And then he said, it is absolutely necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. Your slaves must absolutely trust and depend only on Caucasians. Now you see why the Democratic and Republican Party plantation gatekeepers are telling you you have to vote. You have to vote. You must vote. You have to vote because we must be completely and totally dependent on the slave master. This is why you must vote, because they have to know that you believe absolutely in your slave master. He said they must completely depend and trust only us. They can't trust each other. They don't trust themselves. They must trust only us. Then he says, they must love and respect only us. They must trust, depend, and love only the Caucasian. Why you think black men are bunny hopping the way they do? Now you understand why my black brothers are bunny hopping the way they do. Now you understand the snow bunny crisis. This is psychological engineering at its finest. This is psychological engineering at its finest. This is psychological engineering at its finest. And then he said, if you do this for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful of each other. If you do this for 1 year, the slaves will remain perpetually distrustful of one another. Brothers and sisters, we have been played for the last 300 years. We have been played against each other. Put the Haitian African against the American African. Put the immigrant African against the enslaved African. Put the Nigerian African against the Liberian African. Put the Canadian African against the Brazilian African. Put the Panamanian African against the Texas African. Put the Hawaiian African against the New York African. And put the New York African against the New Jersey African. And put the Camden African against the Trenton African. And put the Trenton African against the Jersey City African, and put the Jersey City African against the Newark, New Jersey African, and put the Philadelphia African against the Derby African, and put the Derby African against the Chester African, and put the Chester African against the Pittsburgh African, and put the Pittsburgh African against the Harrisburg African. When are we going to wake up? When are we going to wake up? This is why I became a psychologist, to break the psychological chains of bondage. This is why I became a psychologist, to break the psychological chains of bondage. This is why I became a psychologist, to break the psychological chains of bondage. And then Willie Lynch says, let's make a slave. What do we need to make a slave? First, we need a black Negro man and a pregnant Negro woman. The first thing we need is a black Negro man and a pregnant Negro woman and her baby Negro boy. We need the black man, we need the pregnant black woman, and we need the little black boy. We need the black man, we need the pregnant black woman, and we need the little Negro boy. And then he said, we will use the same principles that we use to break a horse. We will use the same principle that we use to break a horse. We will use the same principle to break the Negro that we use to break the horse. He goes on to say, cardinal principles for making a Negro. Both the horse and the Negro is no good to the white man in their wild and natural state. The horse nor the Negro is no good to the white man in their wild and natural state. The horse and the Negro is no good to the white man in their wild and natural state. He says we must break them. Special and particular attention must be paid to the female Negro and the youngest Negro boy. Special attention to the black woman and her little black boy. I hope black women are listening, because we're about to break down the welfare state. I hope black women are listening. We're about to break down the welfare state. I hope black women are listening. We're about to break down the welfare state. He says, a wild Negro, like a wild horse, is dangerous if captured, because they will always seek their freedom, and they might take you out to get their freedom. A regular Negro wants to be free more than he wants anything else. So we have to break this out of the Negro. We got to break his spirit so he will never seek his freedom. Are y'all listening to me? All of our musicians are signed to who? All of our musicians are signed to who? All of our musicians are signed to who? All of our football players are playing for who? All of our basketball players are playing for who? All of our baseball players are playing for who? Let's continue, brothers and sisters. I hope this is beneficial. If this is beneficial, black queens, can I get a heart? Black kings, can I get a fist? If this is beneficial, tonight's lesson from Undertaker Ifa Tunde, can I get a heart from the queens and a fist from the unapologetically anti-Snow Bunny alpha male kings? So then, he says, we must break them from one mental life into another mental life. We have to break the Negro slave from one mental life into another mental life. We must break the Negro slave from one mental life into another mental life. He said, we must keep the body, but take the mind. He said we must keep the body, but take the mind. Willie Lynch said, keep the slave's body, but take the slave's mind. Keep the slave's body, but take the slave's mind. Keep the slave's body, but take the slave's mind. In other words, we must break the Negro slave's will to resist white power. We must break the Negro slave's will to resist white power. We must break the Negro's will to resist white power. He said, now the breaking process is the same for the horse as it is for the Negro slave, but it varies by degree. Willie Lynch goes on to say, if you break the Negro mother, if you break the female slave, she will naturally break her black male children. If you break the woman, if you break the black woman, she will automatically break her black son. Where the beta males at? Willie Lynch is the father of the Negro beta male. I said Willie Lynch is the father of the Negro beta male. He said if you break the woman, if you break the black woman, she will automatically break her son for you, beta male birther. Black woman, don't be a beta male birther. Black queens, don't be a beta male birther. And then he said, she will break her son for you. She will break her son for you. If you break the black woman, she will break her son for you. And then when he's old enough to work, it's not even funny. When he's old enough to work, the slave mother will bring her slave son naturally to the NFL. The slave mother will bring her slave son naturally to the NBA. The slave mother will bring her slave son naturally to the music industry. The slave mother will bring her slave son naturally to the Marine Corps, the Army, the Air Force, the Coast Guard. The black mother, if you break her, she will break her son and bring her son to the white power structure. And then he says, this letter is 312 years old. This letter I'm reading is 312 years old. I just got me an idea. Virginia Africans, I want y'all to listen up. Where are all my Virginia Africans at? I want all my Virginia Africans to listen up. I have an idea. In honor of Gabriel Prosser, Virginia Africans, listen to me. In honor of revolutionary slave leader Gabriel Prosser of Richmond, Virginia, once a year, I'm going to do an annual Willie Lynch letter reading inside of the African burial ground in Richmond, Virginia by the James River. I'm going to read this where Willie Lynch read it. Oh, yes. Look for the flyer coming soon. Oh, yes. The Prince of Pan-Africanism is going to read the Willie Lynch letter where Willie Lynch allegedly read the letter in Richmond, Virginia on the James River. Get ready, brothers and sisters. We've been celebrating Nat Turner. It's time to celebrate Gabriel Prosser. We've been celebrating Nat Turner. It's time to celebrate Gabriel Prosser. Let me continue. Ancestors is talking to me. There was an ancestral diversion for higher development, ADHD. There was an ancestral diversion for higher development, ADHD. There was an ancestral diversion for higher development, ADHD. Let's continue. Then Willie Lynch says, train the female horse, whereby she will eat out of your hand. She will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized Negro woman, when it comes to breaking the uncivilized slave woman, use the same process, but vary the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the black woman's mind. Did y'all hear that, black woman? Did my sisters hear what I just said? Willie Lynch said you have to completely reverse the mind of the slave woman. You must completely reverse the mind of the African woman. How many of my sisters giving up weaves tomorrow? How many of my beautiful African sisters are going to give up their weaves tomorrow? How many of my beautiful African sisters going to give up perms tomorrow? How many of my beautiful African sisters going to give up fake hair tomorrow? How many of my sisters are tired of being slaves? How many of my beautiful African sisters who've been keeping your sons away from their father going to call them up and tell them, I'm going to give you one more chance to be a man to your son. I'm going to give you one more chance, ninja, to be a man to your son. Because I don't want Willie Lynch controlling my house. Are you ready to be a man to your daughter? Are you ready to be a man to your son? How many black women are going to wake up tomorrow a free African queen? I said, how many black women are going to wake up tomorrow a free African queen? Neanderthals, this is not your time right now. Caucasians, Asians, Arabs, and all other non-African people, I would greatly appreciate it at this moment right now, because there's no games being played tonight. I would greatly appreciate it if all CEOs, colonizers, enslavers, and oppressors would exit my live right now. I would greatly appreciate it if all CEOs, colonizers, enslavers, and oppressors would exit my live right now. I would really greatly appreciate it if all CEOs, colonizers, enslavers, and oppressors would exit my live right now. Bunny hoppers, you can exit too, because you have already been buck broken. All snow bunny hoppers are buck broken black men. Let me say it again. All snow bunny hoppers are buck broken black men. Let me say it one more time. I don't think y'all heard me. All snow bunny hoppers are buck broken black men. Let's continue. Willie Lynch says, you must complete a complete reversal of the black slave woman's mind. Listen to this. It's about to get serious, because they're about to tell you what they did to Puff Daddy, Michael Jackson, Kobe Bryant, Marcellus Williams, Javion McGee, Prince, Eric Adams. Listen. Take the meanest, most restless Negro. Take the meanest, most restless Negro. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male Negro slaves. Strip him in front of the female slave. Strip him in front of his infant slave children. Tar and feather the biggest, meanest black slave you can find in front of the other male slaves, in front of the slave women, in front of the slave children. Tie each leg to a different horse, facing opposite direction. Tie each leg to a different horse, facing an opposite direction. Tie each leg to a different horse, facing an opposite direction. Set the Negro slave on fire in front of his women, in front of the men who look up to him, in front of his son, in front of his daughter. Humiliate him completely. Destroy the respect that his woman has for him. Destroy the respect that his children has for him. Destroy the respect that the other men have for him. And then beat both horses until they pull his body apart in front of the remaining black slaves. Sean Puffy Combs, Mayor Eric Adams, Marcellus Williams, Javion McGee, Michael Jackson, Prince, Jonathan Majors, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Amir Locke. This is what they do. This is why the police will never be held accountable for murder of Africans. This is why the police will never be held accountable for the murder of Africans. This is why the police will never be held accountable for the murder of Africans, because they are controlling all of us by controlling one of us. They are controlling all of us by controlling one of us. They are controlling all of us by controlling one of us. It only took one Colin Kaepernick to sit the whole NFL plantation down. One Colin Kaepernick was enough to sit the whole plantation down. One Kobe Bryant was enough to sit the whole plantation down. One Eric Adams was enough to sit the whole plantation down. One Michael Jackson was enough